Oh, oh, tibaha, taro, taro na tsohle, di phiri le makunutu. Seho jiso a asebatlang ke ke pelo tse mo mamelang. You would expect to see her coming up with an alto when I sing. Well, today's episode, I'm alone. As we indicated in one of our videos, that we will be taking individual videos wherein we'll be sharing our individual perspectives. We'll have videos wherein we share our personal experiences. There are also videos wherein I will show or perhaps share the male version or the male perspective or the male stance when it comes to certain issues. So we'll have specific episode wherein I speak about the male side, representing the male side in terms of the views, and she'll be having other sessions representing the female side on her views about certain issues, current affairs, social issues, and all that. So in today's session, as I indicate, I'm alone, and one other reason why I'm alone is because we don't stay together. I think we indicated in one of our sessions that we don't stay together. So it takes time for us to build content if we are not staying together. That is why we also resort to also have some perspectives as individuals around certain issues. But what makes special in today's session is that I'm sharing my personal experiences. I would have loved her to be around me, more especially because today's session is it's somehow emotive. It's somehow challenging for me, especially to share every now and then when I'm invited to be the guest speaker or a motivational speaker for some events. It becomes very difficult when they want me to share my personal experiences because it takes me back. They take me back to where I was, and you I wish I can be very strong to finish up this session without having some alterations, because like I indicated that it involves a lot of emotions around it, but I will try. I wish I could get an opportunity, to talk to many young people um, across the world or across South Africa and beyond, because the story that I've traveled as a young boy, more especially coming from rural area into university alone and all that, it was quite a hefty kind of burden that I had to carry as a young person. And I feel like sharing them with other young people becomes a motivation to say the experiences that you have, you're not the first person to experience them. The challenges, the tribulations that you have, you're not the first person to be plugged with. There are a number of young people who faced those challenges before you. And I also believe that I was not the only person who was experiencing all these challenges. But what makes it very unique in this episode is that I will be sharing my personal journey from when I was young, but the most interest is especially when now I moved to the university to try and share the university life. Because I get invited a lot to a number of events, and when I'm invited, those who know, those who attended some of my events, they know that I don't finish sharing the stories. Sometimes it's because of the emotions around it, and sometimes it's because of the time, because it's quite a long journey of life that has got some inspirational experiences in it. And many people still come back to me and say, we wish you finished and all that. So this is another reason why I'm doing this video today, with a hope that I will cover all the aspects, which I doubt I will cover every line. And the other thing that I also want to share is that I'm busy writing a book around this. The book, I would have released the book long ago, but I'm still building it because the book is about a rural boy who comes from a deep rural area in Limpopo, coming into a university, fight against all the tribulations and the experiences of a young person as a young student, and end up finishing a PhD with those experiences and challenges. So the other reason why I'm not finishing that book is because I'm still working on my PhD. I don't want to publish it now and still feel like I should have added other things in it. So before okay, anyway, I wanted to urge you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have agreed as Shad Rose that we do not really need to call people to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We believe that if content that you see on YouTube is what is related or what you relate to, what you find interest in, you feel obliged to subscribe without even being carried out, carried on to go and subscribe. So we felt that those who feel like the content we share addresses their space and their interest, they will do so, freely so. But we would wish that everyone else who watch our videos get to subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't even know where to start about this whole thing. I don't need to refer to anything because this is something that I've experienced. Those who follow me on social media would know that I've shared a lot of parts about the journey that I traveled, and it inspires a lot of young people. Like I indicated that in the invites that I get to come and motivate young people, I don't cover all other things. I wish in today's episode I will cover a lot of things that many young people would learn from, and grow from them, and see life in a better position or in a better direction. Because sometimes when you experience these challenges as a young person, you tend to think like God is not there. As a staunch believer of God, I believe that the journey that I traveled was meant to be shared with others thereafter when life is much better. And I believe that actually it's not a nice path or a journey that any young person should go through. It's not a journey that I would wish to any worst enemy. If I had that, I don't wish the journey to anybody's worst enemy, because uh, it can be very defeating if you're not spiritually strengthful, if you have less faith unto God. Because personally, I believe into Christianity, I believe into God. So some of the triumphs that I've made along the way, I still believe that it's because of God's strength. That is why Heke Tomamo, I started with a song. In fact, Kidifela, these are hymn that speaks directly to the situation that o tseba tša rena tšohle diphiri le makunutu. I believe that he knew all these experiences will pass. I believe that he knew that if it's not me passing through that stage, it could be someone who at the end of the day may not have the ability or the energy to come and share with other young people. So o tsebile gore at the end of the day, all the experiences that I'm experiencing, one day I will come and get a platform to talk to somebody and inspire. I may not inspire all, but at least one or two who come positive out of the episode. I would know that I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Maake Shadrack. I was born and bred in Limpopo, Zanini, Bolobedu, Kimolobedu. That's where my life started. So, what I want to share with you today is the path that many people always kept asking me, when are you going to share? Every time when I post that I'm going to be a guest speaker somewhere, people would want to have a link so that they can just get the best of my motivations and all that. So today, it's not directly a motivational kind of session. It's more of the journey that I traveled as a young person. That, of course, inspires many young other people. So, growing up in Limpopo, we know Limpopo is characterized by deep rural areas, and sometimes we are not exposed to technologies, we're not exposed to any advanced environments. Uh, my journey started as a young boy who is so talented. I don't want to lie, so talented, but at that time as a young person, I didn't really find where exactly do I suit in. So everything else that I would do, I was always excelling, I was always outstanding and easy to notice, and it has started exactly like that. So maybe extramural activities, I was a soccer player, noticeable soccer player. But what I can single it out again is that I was a dancer. I was a dancer. I became a local dancer at a very young age. It started when I was dancing alone, alone, not alone on the stage, but alone without any artist that was owning me, until I was noticed by one artist, um, whom played a huge role also in my life. May his soul rest in peace. I'm not sure if I should mention his name, but his name is Malunda. May his soul rest in peace. He played a role in my life. I will be mentioning a lot of names around my conversation because I believe that it's also some part of acknowledging the good things that people are doing into our lives. More especially those who would contribute to your life and not wish to be praised in public that they've assisted you. I will be mentioning their names. So I was a dancer wherein we would travel, exactly what Limpopo Boy is doing. We would travel with artists to big events, we go and dance there. After the events, they would buy us food and buy us drinks, alcohol, and all that. So, what was so particular or peculiar to me was that when they buy alcohol, I did not drink. As we speak today, I've never tasted alcohol in my life. And I realized in that situation that I'm quite strong because I was exposed to money, I was exposed to alcohol, and I could not take it. And one other reason why I couldn't drink alcohol is because I grew up in a very Christian family who do not believe in the consumption of alcohol. Even though they were not there, I felt it's wrong from my side. And as time goes on and on and on, and what I want to share is that growing up, I didn't like church at all. I didn't like anything to do with church. I was a stoat, if one would put that way. Ne ke such that if I was doing it now, I would be part of the heist and part of, I would be a criminal by now. In fact, if it was in God's purpose, if it was in God's influence, I don't think I would be in prison by now because I was doing that on a very high speed. Like I'm saying that I had so much talent that I couldn't figure exactly where do I fit in terms of my future. Well, it was frustrating to my parents, and they told me a lot. Sometimes I believe as a parent, if you talk to your kid and doesn't listen, you don't have to do anything, because in my case, my parents would go to an extent of beating me like every day, but it didn't work with me. It didn't work at all. When they beat me, I multiply what I was doing. I was burning beds, I was burning the house and everything. They bought a lot of furnitures at home because I've burnt a lot of them. And as a young boy, But I started to realize the strength of God still at a young age, because there was a time wherein I've thrown everything. I stopped dancing. I stopped doing anything that was regarded as stoutness, something that was a disorder in a way. Then I've started seeing God in my life. I started going to Sunday school, and I think that's where my life started to be more, arranged then. Because when I go to Sunday school, I still had that energy, I still had that talent, where I did not know exactly where does it suit. Everything else that I would do, I would excel. In fact, that is still the case now. Many people are saying I'm multi-talented, and I believe it's because of the energy that I invest when I want to do something, and that has assisted me. That's why I'm saying, if it wasn't for God, I would have perhaps somewhere doing good or doing bad. And if it wasn't for God, that one I want to maintain, that I would be in prison somewhere, because my life was just so fast because of the talent that I had. So because of God, and maybe the prayers of my parents, because I believe that they played a huge role in changing me, I found myself being part of Sunday school, very active at Sunday school, and even at primary, because at that time I was still at primary. I was given, inspirational roles to play, given characters to play during events and all that. I would still dance at school, but now because I'm at Sunday school, they entrusted me with the responsibility to be the poet of the church, and I think that has played quite a huge role in my life, because it made sure that every Sunday I'm at church. uh, I would recite poems. I still have those poems. I still know those poems perfectly. So, and maybe one day I will recite some of them, maybe before the session or anything. But I will see. I will decide. But I still know them very perfect. Those are the poems about my church. Even at school, I was nominated to be the poet of the school, wherein I went to competitions and won trophies. At Sunday school, I won trophies as well for for poetry and drama. So I was involved in a lot of activities. So which means that energy that I had has now been transferred into something tangible, something that inspires many other young people. I would be told by my fellows, people of my age, my cohorts, that we wish we had the ability that you have, we wish you had the skills and the capabilities that you have, and that was a motivation to me. Okay, continue doing, because you're doing something extraordinary. Something that I want to share is that every time when I get to something, I always want to make sure that I excel in everything else that I do. I always make sure that I excel. And for that reason, that's why I always come outstanding in everything else that I do. And I believe that I'm not multi-talented. I just invest energy into something that I do to perfect it, you know. And I wish many young people can have that mindset. So growing up at Sunday school, that, like I said, the Sunday school thing has changed me. Something has changed a lot of my ways of living. I started losing a lot of friends because we're not relating in anything. I started making new friends in the church side of it. I started being more performing academically as well, and that has seen me growing as much as I am today. And I still thank God for that shift, for that paradigm from living that lifestyle into moving to a new one that inspires many young people. So to cut the long story short, I moved to high school. The high school that I went to, it's Mudika Secondary School. It was quite very far from where I was staying. Then I think I went there for 2 years. From there, I decided to shift to go to a closer school. The other reason was that the bicycle that I was using going to school is now damaged, meaning I have to walk for a long distance. And when I left there, when in fact after when I've left, I was told that I've won awards for, what do they call this when you're doing grade 9 CTA, you know. So I won awards for the CTA with one of my friend Gerson Mangena, when because we're doing them together. So but the award and the uniform that I won couldn't fit into where I was because they're using a different uniform. So what I want to share is that I managed to get something for the whole district in that regard. I wish I continued with that school if it was close by or had other means to do that. So I went to a new school, getting to a new school. When I got there, I got worried that I struggle. I don't know English. I'm not familiar with this language. But at the end of the day, I must go to a university, and I must be at that time versed with the language because you're going to meet a number of people who come from different backgrounds. Some grow up going to private schools and so forth. So if I don't prepare myself now, I'll have a problem. I remember I had to develop my own dictionary, and I still thank myself for that. I don't know who came up with that idea, but I found myself having my own handwritten dictionary. As I speak, I still have that dictionary, and it helps me a lot. I wish that even on my sisters that maybe they could just have their own dictionary because they used to steal mine because it was so informed that I only compiled, sorry, the words that are used more often and that we do not know. So I've learned the words, I've learned how to construct them and so forth. So it has assisted me so much coming into that rural school that lacked so many equipments and material to teach advanced language and everything. I remember one teacher even came and asked, "Why are you developing a dictionary because you are saying this dictionary is yours?" She did not understand. In my own perspective, I developed that dictionary that only carries the words that I need because I've realized that the other dictionaries were carrying some lexicons from different authors. So I needed a dictionary that speaks to my context. So fast forward at that school, um, when I was doing my matric, um, I was elected as a president of that school. And for the first time in close to 15 years, that school managed to have a farewell function that I suggested and make it possible. And I still appreciate myself, even though since I left there, I think 12 years back, there hasn't been any event of some sort. I wish they can start or organize such events so that I can go back and talk to those young people so that they can know that it's possible even when you come from a deep rural area, a deep old school like Squari High School. So the situation that I normally share with people when I got invited into events start at that time, wherein now I'm doing matric and I have to prepare myself for the university. I remember in 2008, 12 October, there was a stranger who came to me and told me that uh, I envisage that in the future you are going to study abroad, you'll be this important person in the society, many young people will admire you, and you'll be an inspirational somebody to many young people. But at that time it didn't click well. And I just thought, okay, maybe it's possible because at that time my parents, especially my father, was still doing well in his business and work and so forth. So to me, going into university, I never thought will be the way it was. To me, I mean, it's given that I will go to the university. I know I'm going to pass very well. You know, I started seeing the reality kicking in when my father lost his job when I was doing my matric. Um, it was a quite heavy situation. It was very hard. It was very hard because he was the breadwinner. He was the only person that we inextricably relied on, and him losing the job meant that I had to stand up and change the situation. Things started to turn around, and I started feeling so heavy as a young person who was so prepared to go to a university. So what I want to share with you is that my father lost his job just because he could not see anymore. So he became blind, and for that reason, he lost his job, he lost his businesses, he lost his cars, and he went back to zero. It was so painful seeing the bank repossessing his car. Um, I still struggle to accept that situation, when everyone in the community is coming down to see what is happening. You have been up, now you're down. I'm doing my matric. My expectation is that next day I should go to the university. Well, I passed my matric very well. I passed my matric very well. I remember I met this other mistress around Hapan Plaza. She asked me, now that you passed, I've seen your statement. Now that you passed so well, what is your plan? Where are you planning to go? Where are you planning to study? Um, it was very heavy to answer to that question because I had to share that no, I have applied to um, many universities. I got acceptance, and at that time when we met, I was going to the post office to make an application of the Premier's office bursaries with the hope that things will be fine. And I was just in a dark situation. I didn't know what to do at that time, and it was just hard. It was just hard, and sorry, it was hard. It was hard because no one was waking at home, and I'm sorry. I will try to cut this part. So I explained to her that no one is working at home and I don't have any plan. I don't know who's going to assist me. So, and thanks to Memolausi for, in fact, thanks to God for making me meet her at that time, because she comforted me. She spoke her words that I would feel rest in them. She she urged me to come to school. I think it was on Friday because she said, "Come on Monday. We will see what to do, and maybe we can assist you so that you go and register." So I showed her the acceptance letter to study LLB at VETS. I got also acceptance letter from UJ. I got also acceptance letter from University of Limpopo and UP. So to her, she was like, "Come on Monday, then we'll see as teachers if we can assist you." So, and what I can advise you is that at least target University of Limpopo because at least it's close to home. If there's something, if there's an emergency, you can be able to get home. So at that time, I was no longer choosy, but honestly speaking, I didn't want to go to University of Limpopo because the fact that it sounded like it's more. I'm still at home. I wanted to go to a university outside Limpopo, and experience that, you know, university life outside your own province. But because of the situation, God chose.